Chosen one ... They don't understand you, so they fear you. They can't explain your presence, so they twist it into darkness. They can't comprehend your gifts, so they call them dangerous. They don't know how you keep rising, so they call it witchcraft. This wasn't about you being dark. This was about them not being able to handle your light. You walk into the room, and the temperature shifts. Conversations stop mid-sentence. Eyes dart away. Smiles freeze on their faces, like masks cracking under pressure. You've felt it. You've seen it. They look at you like a threat. Because you are one, but not to the innocent. You threaten their illusion. You expose what they try to keep hidden. Your presence carries truth. And truth is terrifying to those built on lies. They whisper behind closed doors, calling you names, labeling your spiritual gifts as curses. Because it's easier to believe you're working with something dark than to admit that heaven might actually favor you. You weren't supposed to survive. You weren't supposed to glow. You weren't supposed to discern what they tried to bury. But here you are, alive, glowing, seeing everything, and that alone is their nightmare. They ask, how do they know things without being told? How do they keep dodging destruction? How did they get free from everything we threw at them? And the answer echoes from realms they cannot touch. You are never alone. You are never unguarded. You walk with ancestors. You breathe with angels. You're sealed by a force far beyond the reach of their manipulation. So now they rewrite the story. It's not God. It must be spells. It's not discernment. It must be psychic energy. It's not protection. It must be hexes and candles. They've convinced themselves you're a witch because the truth is too sacred to bear. They don't see the quiet nights you spent on your knees. They don't hear the prayers whispered through tears. They don't feel the weight of obedience, of sacrifice, of choosing light even when darkness offered shortcuts. You didn't curse them. You didn't fight them. You didn't even respond. Let heaven handle it. And heaven did. Every trap they set ... collapsed. Every rumor they spread ... reversed. Every dart they threw ... missed. They call you dangerous now. Not because of what you've done, but because nothing they've done has worked. They're unraveling. Not because you attacked, but because their own shadows are now closing in on them. The spell they fear was never a spell. It was your anointing. It was your divine alignment. They wanted to destroy you, but ended up exposing themselves. And now they're afraid to be in your presence. They flinch when your name is mentioned. They tremble when you speak, because every word carries a vibration they can't match. You don't cast spells. You carry frequency. You don't conjure spirits. You carry the spirit. You don't walk in fear. You walk in covenant. This is not witchcraft. This is the authority of the chosen. And you are the one they tried to bury. But heaven planted you. And now you rise. You rise with silence, with clarity, with eyes that see beyond masks and ears that hear what others pretend not to say. You rise untouched, not because you were never attacked, but because nothing sent your way could override divine protection. So let them talk. Let them fear what they don't understand. You are not here to explain. You are here to exist, to witness, to shift atmospheres and break generational patterns by your very presence. They called you darkness because they couldn't admit you were the dawn. And now, chosen one, you're no longer hiding. You're no longer shrinking. You're no longer dimming your light to make others feel comfortable. This is the moment they realize the one they feared ... was never a witch. You were a mirror. And what they saw reflected was everything they refused to face within themselves. Welcome to the unveiling. The prophecy is unfolding. and the light in you was never up for debate. Chosen one. They don't know what to call your gift, so they call it witchcraft. They don't understand your sight, so they say it must be sorcery. They've never seen strength like yours flow so effortlessly, so they assume you've made some secret deal in the dark, because in their world, power must be purchased, favor must be forced, and light must be artificial. They've never known divine inheritance, so they mistake spiritual birthright. 4. Black magic. They whisper behind your back, eyes wide with confusion and envy. She's doing something, right? That can't be natural. He must be involved in something ... otherworldly. Yes, you are, but not in the way they think. You were born with this. This clarity, this discernment, this energy. It's not summoned. It's not crafted. It was carved into your spirit by the Most High. You didn't chase this power. You surrendered for it. You didn't beg spirits. You aligned with the Creator, but they can't grasp that. So they rewrite your story, because anything they can't understand, they must demonize. You walk with peace, and they call it cold. You speak with authority, and they call it pride. You set boundaries, and they call it dark energy. But you know better. This is the weapon of the chosen. A soul too ancient to be manipulated. A light too holy to be dimmed. They watch you evolve, and instead of healing themselves, they try to label you as the danger. Because if they admit you're divine, they must also admit they never were in control. So let them accuse. Let them guess. Let them gather in corners to whisper your name. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Their fear is not your burden. Their ignorance is not your truth. We're born with what they tried to manufacture. You inherited what they tried to imitate. And now, your very existence is spiritual confrontation, not because you cast spells, but because you broke theirs, not because you walked in darkness, but because your light exposed it. Chosen one, you don't owe them an explanation. You owe your soul the freedom to be. They didn't choose you. Heaven did. And no human label, no lie, no rumor can unwrite what was written in light. Let them talk. Let them stare. Let them wonder. Because when divine favor looks like mystery, those without vision will always call it a curse. But you know better, and soon. So will they. Chosen one. They thought your silence meant weakness, but silence was your greatest weapon. They launched rumors like daggers, tried to bait you with drama, set traps laced with manipulation, but you didn't flinch, you didn't bite, you didn't react, you didn't explain. And that's what broke them, because the ones who live by chaos crave your reaction. They need your pain to feel powerful. They feed on your defense to justify their lies. But when you stayed still, when you let the storm rage while you stood in peace, they started to unravel. You became the mirror they couldn't escape. No matter how loud they screamed, you whispered nothing. No matter how hard they pushed, you didn't move. That scared them more than any confrontation ever could, because silence speaks volumes. Silence says, I see everything, and I choose peace anyway. It says, your energy is not welcome in my atmosphere. They poked, prodded, provoked. They watched closely, waiting for the meltdown. But it never came. Instead, they fell, apart in their own trap, because your refusal to fight revealed they were fighting ghosts. You weren't their opponent. You were their reflection. And the more you healed, the more they lost grip of their illusion. Now they sit with questions they can't answer. Why isn't she broken? Why isn't he lashing out? Why does nothing touch them? The answer is simple. You don't need revenge, because truth fights for you. You don't throw spells, because divine law is already at work. You don't defend yourself, because your legacy speaks. louder than their lies ever will, while they scramble for damage control. You're elevating, quietly, powerfully, undeniably. Chosen one. Your silence was never empty. It was sacred. A force field of peace that no weapon could pierce. They never understood that the loudest justice is sometimes delivered in whispers. So keep walking, keep rising, and let them learn that not every battle is fought with words. Some are won with presence. Alone. Chosen one. They thought they were just dealing with a person. But what they didn't realize was that your presence is ancient. Your power is layered. Your protection is not of this world. You do not walk alone. You are surrounded, guarded, encircled by unseen forces that have been watching over you since before you took your first breath. There are angels stationed around you, ancestors who have warred through dimensions just to keep you safe. Spirits of justice who answer not to men, but to divine law. When they came against you, they didn't just pick a fight with flesh and blood. They picked a war with a sacred lineage. And now they are feeling the consequences in ways they can't explain. They don't sleep well anymore. The air around them feels different. The things they used to do effortlessly now come back void. They feel watched, haunted, disrupted. And so, in panic, they reach for explanations. They go to readers, to psychics, to spiritualists, to energy workers, asking questions with trembling voices. What's protecting them? Why won't anything stick? What force are we dealing with? They pay for answers. They light candles. They burn herbs. They search through astrology charts. But nothing gives them peace, because what surrounds you cannot be mapped by cards, cannot be unlocked by spellwork, cannot be overthrown by spiritual manipulation. You were sealed from the womb, marked, set apart, and heaven did not consult them when it chose you. They can't decode you because they were never meant to. Your aura is encrypted with holy fire. Your energy protected by contracts written in spiritual realms they no longer have access to. You're not the enigma. You are the revelation. But to those who live in shadows, revelation looks like a threat. So now they scramble trying to find loopholes and laws they don't understand, summoning spirits they can no longer control, begging for protection from the very realm they disrespected. Because the truth is, you didn't curse them. They cursed themselves when they touched what was sacred. When they violated spiritual boundaries, they had no authority to cross. See, the universe has protocols. And you, chosen one, you are under divine jurisdiction. That means anyone who trespasses against you has to answer not to you, but to the courts of heaven. So when they lied on your name, heaven recorded it. When they cast energy against you, it reversed before it even reached your field. And now, they feel it. The boomerang, the spiritual echo, the karmic return. It's not paranoia. It's consequence. It's not your doing. It's divine order restoring balance. They thought they had you figured out, but they underestimated the layers. You are not just a person with a purpose. You are a portal of justice, a vessel of generational deliverance, a temple of holy fire. And when they tried to tamper with you, they triggered alarms in the spirit. And the realm responded. With storms. With confusion. With collapse. Now they whisper, but their whispers return to them as screams in the night. They fear mirrors. They dread silence. They can't run from the presence they awaken. Because every time they try to come closer, they meet resistance. Unseen, unnamed, unexplainable. That's not you fighting. That's your covering. So you stay still. You stay peaceful. You stay focused. And let heaven finish what it started. Because this was never just about you. This was spiritual war. And now they are facing the ancient forces behind. Your name Chosen one. They tried to cloak your name in shadows. They whispered lies, cast energy, and invoked forces to silence you. They thought if they surrounded you with enough darkness, you would crumble, that fear would infect you, that confusion would consume you. But the shadow they summoned never touched you because you weren't alone, because your field was fortified by something they can't name and will never control. So instead the darkness circled back, not because of your retaliation, but because of divine law. What they sent returned, multiplied, magnified, and now they are haunted by their own intentions. They don't sleep anymore. Not peacefully, not fully, because the spirit realm does not forget. You see, when they sent that energy toward you, it carried their name, their frequency, their signature. And when the light around you refused to receive it, the energy did what energy always does. It returned to sender. Now they wake up in cold sweats, their dreams filled with your face, but not the version they tried to bury, the version they fear, the version they can't explain, the version that keeps rising. You haunt them without lifting a finger, because it's not really you they see in the dark. What they did to you. And the truth their soul refuses to face. They feel watched, they feel followed, but no one is there. Mirrors disturb them. Silence unsettles them. Every flickering light, every creaking floorboard now feels like judgment breathing down their neck. This is not coincidence. This is consequence. You didn't curse them. They cursed themselves when they tried to tamper with divine territory. And now the universe is showing them what happens when you send darkness toward the chosen. You are not stalking them. Their own guilt is. They don't tell anyone, but they sense things. Shadows where there should be light. Whispers that don't belong to any voice they know, and a pressure that wraps around their chest. Every time they remember what they did to you, they ask, is she doing something? Did he send something after me? But they don't understand. You didn't need to. What they feel is not your revenge. It is their reflection. Because you, chosen one, were never the villain in this story. You were the mirror. And they shattered themselves. They tried to shatter you. This is why they can't. Find rest. Why they keep running, but go nowhere. Why they jump from reader to reader, priestess to priest, healer to healer, looking for relief. But no crystal, no ritual, no frantic prayer whispered at 3 a.m. can cancel what they called upon themselves. You are not the one moving in the shadows. They were, but now the shadows have turned on them, because darkness is not loyal. It devours the hand that feeds it. And when the chosen are protected, the darkness redirected always finds its origin. So let them wonder, let them tremble, let them whisper your name in fear, because what they're truly afraid of isn't you. It's the echo of their own energy, the weight of truth they thought would never surface, and the reality that the light you carry was never something they could dim. Chosen one. They couldn't explain your survival. They couldn't explain your glow, your wisdom, your rise. So they rewrote the story, not to expose you, but to protect themselves from the unbearable truth. They needed a villain. Because if you were the light, if you were truly chosen, then everything they did to you was sin. So they picked up the oldest script known to mankind. Call the divine dangerous. Call the gifted evil. Call the light darkness. You've seen it. The whispers, the sideways glances. The way your name drips with suspicion in rooms you've never stepped in. She must be using something. It's not normal to know that much. There's something off about her spirit. But it's not your power that's off. It's their perception and their guilt. They can't admit that you are where you are because God walks with you. Because the Most High handpicked you, anointed you, and preserved you. So instead of bowing to truth, they bend reality. Because if you were chosen, If your gifts were real, if your insight wasn't manipulation, then everything they spoke against you was a curse. And every curse returns. They're not afraid of your power. They're afraid of what it reveals about them. So they build walls with gossip, wrap fear in language of concern, and call light witchcraft, because it's easier than saying, "We tried to destroy someone covered by heaven." That's why the rumors spread like wildfire. Not because they're true, but because lies are easier to believeth in. Spiritual responsibility is to accept. They'd rather call you a warlock than admit you're a warrior of light. They'd rather brand you with darkness than confess that your strength is a threat. Everything built on control. Your peace convicts them. Your silence exposes them. Your strength reminds them of their own weakness, and they cannot handle that mirror. So they project. But here's the truth, and let this settle deep into your soul. You are not what they say. You are not their rumor. You are not their fear. You are divine disruption. You are sacred interruption. You are the shift they prayed for but weren't ready to receive. They don't need protection from your power. They need deliverance from their own shadows. And the day will come when the very ones who cursed you whisper your name with trembling lips, not from suspicion, but from revelation. Chosen one. After all the lies, after the sabotage, the betrayal, the accusations, they return, but not with truth, not with repentance. They return cloaked in performance. With soft words, with slow steps, with shaky smiles that never touch their eyes. I've changed. I miss having you in my life. Let's move on from the past. But you feel it, don't you? Before a single word escapes their lips, you already know, because you've seen their soul. You've stared past their skin, past their stories, past their manipulation, and into the frequency of their true intent. Their energy is cold, their spirit calculating. They are not here to heal. They are here to escape accountability. This isn't about reconciliation. It's about survival, because the consequences are closing in, because divine justice has knocked on their door, and now they want to hide behind your forgiveness like it's a shield. But you are not a cover for their karma. You are not the safe house for fugitives of truth. They don't seek you out because they love you. They seek you out because they fear what's coming if they stay away. They remember your wisdom, your glow, your favor, and in desperation, they think, maybe if I get close enough, I can absorb it. I can delay the storm. But what they don't know is your energy is not a shelter. It's a mirror. And when they stand before you, all their false light burns off. All their secrets tremble. All their masks crack. They smile, but their eyes dart. They speak peace, but their aura coils like smoke. They extend hands, but carry daggers behind their back. And you see it all, clearer than ever before, because your third eye isn't just open, it's lit like wildfire. Because you no longer guess, you discern. So when they try to use guilt, when they try to weaponize nostalgia, when they beg for just one more chance, you don't hate them. You don't fight them. You simply do not entertain deception anymore. You've evolved beyond their tactics. You've matured past their games. You don't need to expose them. Their own energy already did. And that, more than any spell, is what unsettles them most, because they know you see them. The real them. Not the rehearsed lines, not the hollow apologies, but the soul behind the smile. And when the soul is rotten, no performance can cover the stench. Chosen one. They called you a witch because they couldn't comprehend a soul that doesn't beg for permission to shine. They whispered warlock because it was easier than admitting the Most High walks with you. They said your gifts were unnatural because they didn't recognize what divine inheritance looks like. But you didn't have to cast spells. You didn't have to chant under the moon. You didn't need herbs, crystals, circles, or fire. Your breath was already sacred. Your presence was already marked. Your life was already chosen. You didn't become powerful. You remembered your power, and that was the real threat, because you didn't just break free, you exposed everything they believed as a lie. You proved that the universe doesn't respond to manipulation. It responds to alignment. You prove that you don't need to force what flows naturally to you, that when you walk in truth, you are surrounded by angels they cannot see and protected by a covenant they cannot break. They called you darkness, but you were only reflecting the shadows they refused to face. They accused you of working with evil, but the only thing you've ever worked with is truth, and the truth burns. It exposes. It unsettles. They thought they buried you in shame, but the soil didn't suffocate you. It rooted you. You weren't erased. You were planted. And when you rose again, you rose different. You rose with authority. Now, you walk into a room and everything changes. The energy shifts. The atmosphere tightens. The whispers return. But this time, you don't flinch. You don't shrink. You don't explain, because you've outgrown the need to be understood. You're not here to prove you're innocent. You're not here to prove you're safe. You're not here to comfort anyone who's terrified by your existence. You're here to walk in divine confidence. And when they accuse you now, you don't defend yourself, because you are not on trial. Your life is the evidence. Your growth is the proof. Your peace is the verdict, and their fear is the confession. Let them talk. Let them say your name in rooms where they tried to erase you. Them tell their version, because no lie can cancel the destiny that was written in light before time began. You don't respond to slander. You respond to divine assignment. And your assignment isn't just to survive, it's to walk as a living revelation. Your stillness is prophetic. Your silence speaks volumes. Your presence activates rooms, because the glow they fear isn't magic. It's memory. Your soul remembers heaven. Your gifts are the echo of that ancient covenant. You are the prophecy they prayed would never wake up. Here you are. Alive. Unapologetic. Unexplainable. Unteachable. Them think you're something strange. Let them twist what they don't understand. Let them hide behind words like witch and warlock and dangerous. But you know what you are. You are a key. You are a door. You are the very thing they tried to silence. Now you speak with the thunder of truth. They wanted to shrink your story into something digestible. But your life is a divine wildfire. UNCONTAINABLE. Unpredictable. Unstoppable. And now you don't owe anyone a performance. You don't owe them your softness. You don't owe them your explanation. You owe only one thing: to walk in your anointing with boldness, because the time for hiding is over. The time for shrinking is over. The time for fitting in is over. You are the evidence that divine favor is real. You are the proof that sacred power walks in human form, are the living scroll, and your life is the message. So walk, chosen one. Walk like prophecy in motion. Walk like justice wrapped in skin. Walk like every lie they told about. You just revealed the depth of your calling. Walk like what you are, undeniable vessel of the Most High.